Well, Sir Karl Jenkins, the Swansea Festival, do you have memories of the festival when you were growing up here in Swansea?
I do indeed, yes. The first time, well, the time I can remember was my father took me there to see I remember the conductor, his name was Witold Rowici. He was a Polish conductor, and I think it was the Warsaw Philharmonic at the time, so that's like 10, when I was 10, that's like 65 years ago, or whatever, or a bit more actually. And it was fascinating because it's the first big concert I went to, and we sat behind the orchestra because there's no choir there.
Yeah.
So the seats behind us were behind the organ, you know. So yeah, we sat there and they played some Tchaikovsky or whatever it was. I can't remember really.
Those are the very early days of the festival, and you know it's been going for 70 odd years now. So it's an important part of artistic life in Swansea, and I know that music in schools and taking kids to see music early on is a passion of yours as well.
It is. Well, I was very lucky early on. Obviously, I had my father's influence. I was a music teacher and an organist in Pencloud in the chapel. But also loved music, and I was born in '44, so shortly after LP started coming out. That's vinyl, long playing records.
For the kids listening.
Yeah.
For those in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah. So long playing meant, like, as you know, Mal, was like up to 20 minutes a side, I think it was. So, you know, and the more minutes you put on, the less sound quality became worse. Yeah. Because the grooves were too close together to ram it all in. But he built up a large collection of classical music, and he was hugely influential. Yeah. And then later on, I got into jazz and all that. But it all sprung from me going there. And I was lucky enough, of course, to be born at a time when all, apart from educational tuition, was free of any charge. Yeah. With peripatetic teachers. And I learned the oboe when I went to Gowerton Grammar School, as it was then. But my father was deputy head of Pencloud Secondary Modern, and they had string orchestra there as well, you know, so it wasn't only the grammar schools had this opportunity, or many schools did. Yeah, in Wales, you know. So,
well, the good news as well that's going to hopefully continue now with children being allowed, you know, given that great gift, the gift of music at such an early age, and the chance to try different instruments. I mean, was the oboe the obvious choice for you? You know,
it was my father's obvious choice, actually. Not that he forced it upon me, but as a kid, I played. Well, you taught me the piano earlier on, and I wasn't that great. I still kind of play okay, arrangers or jazz piano with a bit, but not. I couldn't play your Beethoven sonata, but I did learn the piano, and then I went on to recording junior school in Pencloud, and I really took to that, and the fingering was similar to other woodwind instruments. Yeah. So he said, "What do you want to play then when you go?" And so he said, "Well, my favorite instrument is the oboe." I said, "Fine, I'll play the oboe then." So that's how it came about, really.
Fantastic.
And it was, it was good. I had tuition with, he's a woodwind teacher. I used to play in the Empire when it had orchestras. The Empire, we saw the pantomime there.
Yes.
In Swansea. Vincent Haney was his name, and he played in the pit band there, and he was a peripatetic, all wind teacher, really. They learned their trade covering all woodwind and brass instruments, you know, for at that level. Yeah. So yeah, he was great, and he was a huge influence. And from there, I went orchestrally to the West Glam Orchestra, but that was a bit of a problem because I couldn't get there very easily from Pencloud. It meant 2 buses, and I couldn't get home. I could get back to Swansea, okay, but I couldn't get back to Pencloud. So I didn't go there that often. But then there was the Glamorgan Youth Orchestra and National Youth Orchestra Wales. But then during my teenage years, I fell in love with jazz, and that took me over, really, for a while.
Yeah. But, I mean, the interesting thing with the festival, then, the last concert we had at the festival, it featured a commissioned work by you about a refugee, and that was a really emotional night, wasn't it, at the Brangwyn Hall?
Oh, that's right. She was a refugee who came from Syria, and she wrote a poem, Syria, My Land, on that basic theme. And she won a poetry competition, national poetry competition, in the UK. And I was given it. I heard it and read it, and I asked her permission if I could set it to music, which her parents gratefully agreed. It was very emotional. I think she and her parents were very overcome by it, because I think it was probably the first time they'd been to a concert hall, and it was full, if I remember. And she was overcome, obviously, when she took a bow at the end, and her parents were as well. So it was a huge, life-changing thing for her.
Yeah, and the response from the audience, it was a standing ovation for everybody involved. I mean, that concert was a sellout, and to be honest, we had waiting lists because people wanted to come. So we thought, well, we're going to bring the festival back. We've had a dormant period because of COVID, but we're coming back with a new concert, the start of the Swansea Festival again. So we thought we'd better come back to the fount, and we've commissioned you for a new piece for the concert on October the 29th at the Brangwyn Hall. And again, you've gone to a poet and asked them to create.
I did. It's called This Faithful Life. I won't tell you the text. People can wait for that until they hear it. But it's written by Graham Davis, who's a very fine Welsh poet, and he said some text for me before, and he wrote a very haunting poem called Grey. He wrote it in Welsh, Grey, and Lloyd in Welsh. I'm not a Welsh speaker, but I set it in English. And the poem was written when they brought the slate from North Wales to the site of the Welsh Millennium Centre, where it was being built. And Bryn Terfel was there. And other people involved in that process. And it's about how all the everlasting things are grey, like the sea in Cardiff Bay and a few other things. It's very evocative. Yeah. So I set that for a piece for the opening of the Millennium Centre, whenever that was, early 2000s.
If we look at your dark glasses, I can see a big screen there, because this is where you work now when you do your writing. You've got a screen in front of you, and you've got a keyboard as well.
Yeah, I've got the piano here to me.
Right.
I've got in front of that. I've got this laptop.
Right.
And I use Sibelius, which is as you know, music.
It's a scoring program where you can actually you choose what instrument, violins, first violin, seconds, all of that type of thing, brass, and as you play it, you can score it in, and it's proper music.
Yeah, I used to be pen and paper until I was 50. I think I was 50 at the time. It was the time of Adi Amos and the Armed Man, and the odd thing is I wanted to use, because I get left behind because I was still rubbing things out and all. It took me forever. Yeah. But I wasn't computer literate, so I had to hear the two skills at the same time: learn to use a computer and the Sibelius program. Yeah. So I've been using it ever since, and I've only recently graduated to the ultimate. It is called the ultimate version.
The ultimate. That's great.
So thereafter, there are no more that you can purchase, but you could buy updates, upload.
They got you. They've got you upgraded. They've got you for the rest of your life now. It's like they've got you hooked.
So I have a screen that's kind of it's very big. Yeah. But I sometimes still can't get a lot of music, the whole score on it. If it's a big score. Yeah.
And of course, with samples and all these things now, it's great. But it's not like the real thing, is it? It's not like a real string section or brass section. Do you still get excited then when you've done it all at home and you've got the papers now printed out, all the different parts? Do you still get excited when you hear it for the first time?
Yeah. I always feel a bit nervous about it, but usually it works out pretty much as I intended. So it is exciting, and it is when you hear the thrill of live players. Because they had a difficult 2 years, as you know. COVID, freelance musicians, terrible. They weren't supported by government, and many left the profession. And
Well, I know London musicians who now drive buses because you get a pension and a holiday. You know, it's going to be hard to get them back, isn't it? It's going to be hard to get them back.
It is, yeah, exactly.
And I think that's why this festival, it's very important for us to come back and with a bit of a splash. So we have you, we have Huw Edwards, BBC's Huw Edwards.
Oh yes, indeed.
Presenting.
Yes.
Catrin Finch will be there as well, and she'll play a couple of your works as well. And it's quite I wouldn't say a populist concert, but it's a concert that people will enjoy. It's going to be
exactly.
and a busy year for you, because we're not the only festival to have commissioned you this year. You've got another work going on for Germany, because a lot of your work is outside the country, isn't it?
Well, put it like this: a lot of people overseas sing my music when I don't have to be there, which is kind of a luxury in many ways. It's like our old composers, the dead composers are, the great ones, were dead and they still perform their music.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not yet dead, but I don't have to be present, and a lot of people sing my choral music, so that's great. But I do love being involved as well, and I was never trained as a conductor. I did a music degree and all that, but I only conduct my own music, and I wouldn't dream of conducting anyone else's, famous or not famous. So it's a strange symbiosis or whatever. But nowadays, with a lot of music around that many people don't like, it's unusual for singers to perform with a conductor, singing music that they like.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in an arrogant way, because there are other people as well who do this accessible, classical music, if you like, But
well, all the great composers, Mozart, Beethoven, they all wrote music that people would enjoy, didn't they? It wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be hard work. It was supposed to be for a good night out, as much as anything.
Absolutely, yeah. Even in the day when they were doing it, it was I know they suffered and all the rest of it and struggled, but they were writing for the present, and people.
Yeah,
people loved it.
Well, we're not letting you get away with it. We've asked you to we've commissioned you with a work, but we're actually asking you to come back and conduct the British Sinfonietta. We've got the Swansea Philharmonic Choir as well, so you've got all those at your disposal. And then Jonathan Rogers will be conducting the other parts of the concert. So we're looking forward to that very much as well. So, great to have you involved in the festival. Thank you very much for giving us your talent. Obviously, you are a Swansea boy, Penclouth boy. Maybe that should be more specific. And I know that
Swansea was my town.
That's your town.
That's my village. And Swansea was my town. Yeah.
So, I'm sure this is. We've had such a great relationship in the past, and it would be lovely to see that relationship develop over the years coming forward as well. Because it's really important to, prophets without honour in their own land, and I'm one that always wants to make sure that isn't the case. So
that's good to know, and in any way I can help, I'll be willing to in the future.
Brilliant. Well, we're delighted to say that the concert is October the 29th at the Brangwyn Hall, featuring a new commissioned work by Sir Karl Jenkins. It has the Swansea Philharmonic Choir, the British Sinfonietta, and it has Catrin Finch as well, and she'll be playing at least one other piece from Karl's repertoire. Karl Jenkins, a delight to have you with us. I won't stop you now, because I know you're probably in the middle of composing. So
no, I'm not.
take the rest of the day off then. Take the rest of the day off. Lovely to speak to you.
Well, it's a pleasure. Good to see you again, and I look forward to meeting in person next time, whenever that is. I think it's quite soon, really. But anyway,
It is finished, isn't it? The work is done. You finished it.
Oh yeah,
that's right. I just wanted to check. That last little question. I just wanted to make sure.
It's finished, and it's also printed.
Oh, there we go. Too late now. We can't pull out. We'll have to pay. So, Karl Jenkins, thanks ever so much for your time.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you.
God bless.